easiest thing. Thank you. Welcome. And I just want to say thank you for joining me today. We've got a fit of the giggles. I'm very sorry. I'd love to introduce everybody to Martina Crudden. Martina is a fellow Irish woman, so we've got the Irish out in force here today. You're very welcome, and thank you for joining me for Real Talk.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, what a journey we've been on, really, this past few years. So
I'd love to ask you, like, let's get straight down to business. I'd love to ask you, I mean, so many people at the moment have been going through so much. A lot of their stuff has been coming up. It comes up for everybody anyway, but of late with lockdowns back in place, we're back at home with kids, or our work situations are changing up. I just love to know what's been going on for you, or how have you been navigating things? What's happening? What's come up? What's revisiting?
There's the question.
Yeah.
I found, well, I suppose all last year was like really crazy, crazy busy for me, because I was helping so many other people on base their shit. We've done a lot of deep work, have been doing it for years, but I found it was just people were really struggling. And I find that, or I feel that where we're at now is we've done a lot of the work so we can help other people on their journey, not to go in and actually fix it, because you can't, as we know, it's all that inner work. But so I know that years ago I didn't have a clue what was going on or what was happening for me. So sometimes I have to remind myself where I've been, how far I've actually come. And there is sometimes that it actually comes back, as you said, as a wee tip on the shoulder, or it could be a slap in the face, or a punch in the gut, and you're like,
a rugby tackle to the ground.
Yeah, and you think you have your stuff all sorted, and it's think, how could there be more? But there's generally some more. So I found last year, I don't think, I think I coped really, really well, because I've been in that place of isolation, of feeling that my world has been torn apart, which it has, but I've learned how to cope with it. I've learned how to deal with it. And I feel we've been prepared for this time so that we can be an example and be a light, maybe to shine on other people's lives where they're at, especially moving forward. I think this is only the start of it, really. And January or December was like hectic. It was like I was 14-hour days, just to try and fit people in. And then we went back into massive lockdown in January. And I got another, just, are you listening yet? I've been in this place where I've done everything for everybody and threw myself into trying to help everybody else, but wasn't actually listening to myself. So I felt really drained. I felt my energy was rock bottom again. And what I was preaching, I wasn't actually listening to. I wasn't listening to myself, my own advice of looking after yourself. You can only be so much to other people, but if you don't look after yourself, you're no good to your kids, you're no good to your family, never mind anybody else. And yes, you may be given so much of yourself, but then what's left for you? So January has been a time of self-reflection, really, and where I want to move forward. I know I could help more people with more online programs rather than just on one-to-one constantly. So that's what I've been working on, and it has really energized me as well, that I've felt alive again. Everything just seems to be lighting up. I was also shown a lot of things really where we have choice every single moment, every single day. We have a choice of whether we do or don't do what you want to be, and be in that light, but also being there for you and your family and what you represent, you know, what is important to you, and it's your values as well as how to, you know, when you're doing what you love, it lights you up. But if you're not doing the inner work on yourself, and if you're not constantly working on you, I feel that it can be really, it can be draining at times, because it's
That's
trying to
good.
find a balance. You know,
Yeah.
I feel you need to find a balance where you're enjoying life. I was missing the whole fun, you know, that fun aspect,
Yeah.
because you're dealing with some serious shit all the
Yeah,
time, and
it's all going down. It is. It's all
yeah,
going down for sure. And I know in December, personally speaking, you know, a lot of, well, say I was saying to you earlier, September to December, I was doing huge introspective work, a lot of zero pointing on myself, pretty much on a daily basis, and a lot of things that I thought that I had put to bed and had dealt with really came up to the forefront for me. And that's, you know, minus any external circumstances being as chaotic as they are out there right now. Um, and so in December, you know, I kind of went to ground a lot. And I know a couple of minutes ago you were saying that December was for you also an exceptionally testing time, a busy time. Did you find in your experience, you know, like many people I've spoken to and I've observed even on social media, their own things coming back, the past coming back, like you said, sometimes gracefully, sometimes not so much. Um, did anything in your world come back up? Because I mean, to anybody who doesn't know you, you have had an exceptional amount of, I don't even know, genuinely speaking, how to put words to it. I'm in awe of what you have been through and lived through, and I, I'm in awe of how not only are you vertical right now, but you have this fire in your belly to show somebody that there is a different way to live and be and do, and that no matter what adversity you have experienced and come through, that there is always, like you said a couple of minutes ago, there's always a choice. So can I ask if you'd like to share anything about December, that if it was a rugby tackle to the ground or a graceful tip on the shoulder to say, hey, it's me again. If there's anything there you'd like to talk to.
yeah, there was a lot came up around grief, and anyone that's listening that doesn't know my story, I have actually lost two children myself. Um, and you know, Daniel is coming up to near 10 years from Daniel died, but it feels like a blink. I can't even believe that it's actually 10 years from he passed away. And when after Daniel died, you know, I just wanted to make his life meaningful.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to lie down and be a victim. I don't even know if that's even the right word, but I wanted, you know, I have four other children, so I wanted to live for him. I wanted to show them that there is another way, because if I lie down, then I'm setting an example for the kids as well.
Yeah.
So what happened was in December, and there was a lot going on around suicide, as you know, in Ireland. Is just went. It's been really challenging, and there was a lot of youth. You know, a lot of the young people were actually leaving this world, and I got really angry one day, God or the universe or whatever, and I said, why am I here trying to stop people from dying when I know that there is no death? And I know I've been shown, I've experienced it with my own near-death experience. I've been in the place where I didn't want to be here. I, you know, was suicidal. I wanted to check out at times because the pain got so intense that I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't cope with it. I got sicker and sicker, and the body just shut down. So I know the effects that the grief has on the physical body, never mind emotionally or spiritually. You know, I lost all faith in that I had so strongly. You know, everything was rattled. So in December that started to creep back in again, and I was like really annoyed, you know, that I was here trying to keep people alive as I thought. You know, why am I keeping them? Why am I helping people to stop them from dying? And the message I got was like just a slap, and it came in writing, where I got, you know, 5 or 6 pages full of why that I had it all wrong.
Wow.
The message I got was, you're not here to stop people from dying. You're here to teach them how to live their life with love and appreciation for everything that they have. And regardless of the path, you know, you can live hell or you can live in heaven here on this earth.
Yeah.
So the messages started to come through of what death was, how we have it all wrong. We have it all wrong. And I know that, but it still was very difficult to watch these young people, and some of them were friends of my kids, and to try and explain to a parent when their heart is ripped out of them, you know. And I know what that's like because I've been there. That pain is still so intense. And even though I've lost my kids, I know that they're okay. They're with me. I've seen them. They've helped me through so many times that every time I say I'm giving this shit up, I'm not doing this work anymore, it's like, no, you're not. And some massive experience happens. And it's like, no, because when I had my own near-death experience and I did leave this world, and I was told I had to come back, you know, that I had work to do. I did not want to really come back, to be honest with you. You know, I felt that love, that peace. And then I started to question, why am I actually here? You know, in December, I really questioned what the path was, but that made it so, it took nearly a responsibility off my shoulders. Ah, I'm not here to stop them from dying. I'm here to teach them how to live. That was like a huge moment for me. It was, yes, you're an example. You can be a light. You can be an example to other people, to show them. And that's what I want moving forward, is to show the young people, to show parents, you know, that their children are fine. We do not die. You know, I've seen myself in different lifetimes. I've been shown different directions that I could take, you know, different directions that I have taken, how things would have worked out differently. But I wouldn't change it, because we've come here as a human to experience it all. And death has taught me more than what life ever could have. If I hadn't had those experiences, um, death has been the biggest lesson for me. Yeah.
You're an exceptional example of this. Like, you know, you really are. And there's no words that I can actually even attempt to articulate here that would express my awe for you in this present moment. I have 3 children myself. I cannot imagine, I cannot even remotely comprehend what that must have been like for you. The closest person to me that I have lost was my dad in 2011. But I think with the child, I can't even get my head around it. I can't comprehend it. So to hear you speak to not just the topic, that's the unspoken, because let's call a spade here. People don't go there. They don't go there. We don't talk about grief. We don't talk about death. You know, and especially here, we push everything down. We push the feels down. We push the emotions down. We suppress them, however it may be. And then to listen to you, you know, talk about this experience now is incredible. Can I ask, how do you get from there to there? I imagine it's quite a journey. And I'm just wondering, like, how do you get from the depths of loss, the depths of grief, to be able to stand there with absolute conviction? And I know it because I feel it. I know what you're talking to when you're speaking to, like, the parents of these guys who've chosen to, you know, take their lives at this time. You're talking to a piece of them on a level that I couldn't, because I haven't been there. How do you get from one place to the next? What did it take? What does it take?
There's times I actually wonder, you know, how, now I can see pieces of the puzzle all being put together. It was like, I feel I've been led. I've also been guided on that journey. You know, I certain people have come into my life, you know, even with the mystery school, the way we connected with Martin and Denise, where the two, that was where that all began for me, was, you know, I'd done all the things that I thought were right. I went, you know, to the council and I got counselling for my kids. I was doing all the things that I thought were right, but I never stopped for me. I never stopped. I was given so much of me. I was out trying to help, you know, Daniel's school friends, and I set up, you know, help with the road safety programs to help kids, you know, before they drive, that they know the impact of their choices and decisions that they make. And, you know, I've been out there. I don't know how I even done it, to be honest with you, Melissa. You just get a strength from somewhere. I don't know where I got it from. Of course, it's within us. It's within us all. But it's whether you choose to use it or not is another thing, or whether you want to put yourself out there, which is a tough task, because I did that, you know, for years. 5 years I was out there. I was speaking in front of groups of children, you know, or kids, 17, 15, 16-year-olds, with teachers and everything, for, you know, 300 or 400 students at a time, and you're reliving and you're telling your story all over again. So what happened then was, I was doing one of these talks, and I was waiting to get up to talk, and what they were doing is they were reenacting a crash scene. It was with the road safety and stuff like that. But what happened was, I just heard these screeches of tires, and in that moment, I was put into the imagination what Daniel must have been like whenever he was going through that, and it just hit me. You talk about being hit by, you know, a bus or taken down. I was taken down, and then my body just started to shut down from that day. So I got sicker and sicker. I was with every doctor in the country, tests done. They couldn't figure out what anything was. And then I was stopped in my tracks. Like, I was stopped. Body just started to give up. And then I started to, I had my near-death experience where I'd completely bled out. And hemorrhaged and was in surgery. They couldn't, when they brought me to surgery, the whole thing just stopped. They could never find, of course, there was probably nothing left in me at that stage anyway, but in that moment, I knew that's when I come back into my body. And what happened from that day,
that's when you had the near-death experience, during that incident where you ended up having to go to hospital because of this hemorrhaging, and it was then when you had that experience.
Yeah. And so
I was going to say, then can you, like, that, it's like where worlds merged. I heard you speak about this before, and you're having you have a near-death experience, so you come back in here with more passion for life and an understanding, and took it from there.
You know, what happened during that, you know, I left my body. I've seen them working on me. I knew I could see everything that was going on. Daniel and Jamie Lee, my son and daughter, were by my side, and, you know, I was like, oh, I'm dead. You know, it's like this. And then I was taken to show. He says, I'm going to show you, we're okay, you know. And then it was like going through this light, the colors, the peace, the birds, the sounds, everything was just intensified so much stronger. And it was just beautiful up through the clouds. It's so hard to even put it into words. So words fail me for a lot of things really now. But when I heard, you know, she has to go back, and he said, no, I know she has to go back. I just want to show her we're okay. You know, things will be different from now on. And they were, but at the same time, when I left and when I come back into my body, I didn't talk about this. Like, I didn't tell anybody what had even happened, because I thought they're going to lock me up. They're going to think I'm completely crazy. You know, as we are here anyway. But
yeah.
but
It's even more suppression, yeah.
Yeah, but then I still had to rebuild my body. You know, my body still had to took months for to, you know, be able to walk. And, you know, I was used to look at my kids coming in from school and not be able to get up and make them dinner. And them asking me, are you going to die too? And
Yeah.
that was worse, you know, to watch the pain in their eyes. I was like, I can have to find a way here. There has to be another way. So, you know, you're constantly still going for tests and everything's coming back clear. And then I discovered like NLP, or I heard of NLP. And so I said, this is it. This is going to be the thing that's going to help me. So then I went to London to Dr. Richard Bandler, and oh my God, like I cried the whole way there because I was a bag of nerves. I didn't know what I was going to. I was so nervous, anxious, depression. I had everything. And I cried thinking, my God, I'm going to be murdered on the train. I'm going, you know, all this shit that goes on in your head. But it totally changed life for me. It really did. It taught me, every time I used to drive in the road, I would just see the crash scene because I had come across it. So I was reliving it all over and over again in my head and seeing it. Sure, every time I was doing that, the mind, you know, it
replays,
it thinks
everything.
It thinks it's happening to you every time you're actually reliving it. So the same emotions were common, and started to understand it then. And then, of course, that helped me process it. And I said, I can be able to help so many people with this, with the traumas that they've been through and living. This is mind blowing stuff. Like, probably wasn't for a lot of people, but it was to me, you know, and so many people that I thought I was going to be able to help as well, which I have. But you think, oh my God, I have something, you know, I'm going to come home and I'm going to change the world. And not everybody wants to change their world. And then that's another, you know, slap. And it's hard to watch people in pain when you know that you've got tools that can help them. So that was part of the journey. And then, of course, Joe Dispenza's work, and then, you know, it led to Martin. And that has just been like, that's been something else. To have that support and the people that get you and know you and love you, or if you're turning up bawling and crying, or they're there when you're good days and bad, doesn't matter what you look like, you know.
Yeah. The way it always should be, isn't it?
Yeah, you're just accepted for you. And that was, I couldn't believe that. How could somebody love me, you know, like this? I didn't know how to love myself. That was part of the journey.
Yeah, that's we myself and Martina met on the a few of us bunked into a taxi, wasn't it, at the airport? I went to the weekend seminar, gave myself a nice birthday gift weekend at Joe Dispenza, and met Martina and the two ladies from Ireland, and nobody knew each other, but we knew we like that, this knowing to go. And then with the community with Martin, it's, you know, when you hit the nail on the head there, to be in the company of people who, you know, accept you for exactly who you are. It's not the done thing, really, is it? You know, it wasn't the norm for us, so we really didn't know what to do with it. Somebody literally looks at you and says, I love you, and you're like, okay, what do you want? Why are you saying this to me? You don't even know me. But, you know, this resonance, the community, the support, and something that you said a couple of minutes ago was, I mean, it's really stood out, was we were never shown how to love ourselves. And therefore, when you're in the depths of your own grief and reliving trauma as you were, how would you know to prioritize yourself if you were never ever shown that? And the mind boggles, because, you know, when I'm listening to you speak about even the incident of having to revisit, drive on the same road on a daily basis that you have to travel on in order to get into the town where you live, you know, you literally are reliving every emotion, every thought, every feeling in that now moment. And that's, you know, what so many people do with grief collectively, and they're not even realizing the amount of impact that it has on the physical body, on our emotions, on our thought processes. Can I ask, you know, as you went and I get, allowed the different modalities to you worked with them, you allowed yourself the space to heal. How did that change your internal vantage point on the external world that was still, I guess, trying to play catch up in your world? How did you, how did you merge these understandings between, you have the near-death experience, you come back into your body with this profound understanding of what life really is, what death really is, the space then to start working on yourself, knowing that you do have something that can help other people, and then understanding and knowing that sometimes, like you said, people don't want to fix their stuff. They have to wait for their own slam dunk or rugby tackle, unfortunately, before they address what's being suppressed inside of them. How did you go there?
From the start, you start to question everything. I started to question everything, where I never asked questions. I was a wee girl, you do as you're told, you don't ask questions. You just don't. You're not taught to ask questions. You're not taught to love yourself, and not no fault of parents or anything, because they don't know this either. They weren't taught it. So how are they going to teach you what they don't know? So I was lost again. I knew that like death wasn't the end, but then I didn't know where I fitted into the world, why I was here, what my purpose was, how or what was going to take place, other than I knew that life was for living, that we've come here, and I felt, well, I must be here for a reason, because otherwise I could have died and stayed where I was. So it was, okay, well, trying to figure out why I am here. And I suppose I just started, there's not a day that goes by that I don't do work on myself. Like, whether it's meditation or, if somebody triggers you or pushes your button, it's like, okay, what's this trying to teach me here? What have I to learn? But I think that was also part of being with the group, that I taught you so much, because at the start you go into something like that and you haven't a clue what they're even talking about. I'd never heard of any consciousness or, your beliefs or triggers, or that wasn't language. That language wasn't, of course we probably did. We know it deep down, but it's like you're born again. It's like you're a baby just taking steps, and like I can't even, it just comes. There's not like a definite, I can't even explain it, but there's not, okay, you're here now and then you just do this and now everything's going to be all right.
What I'm hearing you say, I was going to say, what I'm hearing you say is every day is like an unfolding of another level or another layer of ourselves in the grief process. And the option, as you said earlier on, the choice to feel your way through it, to push it down, to see what is gifted to us day by day in whatever incident that comes up, because it really does alter your viewpoint of the world and how precious life is and how precious time is and how precious your choice is. And what I also heard you say was, as you went along the process, it's about re-understanding yourself, getting to know yourself, and making a commitment to yourself to show up for you as you unlearn everything that you thought was real in life, or as you really question the shit that you've invested so much of your time, energy, and presence in, that when something like this hits, it doesn't even matter anymore. In the mystery school, I know when I joined up with Martin and all of the crew there, like you, I hadn't a clue. I'm like, excuse me, what's shadow work? I thought I'd been doing, you know, working on myself. You know, I'm trying to change and I'm trying to do this, but I hadn't got a clue. I didn't know the lingo. I didn't know what it was. And the reason I'm even, you know, going there with this is because I just knew I'd come from a shitstorm. I knew that my whole entire world had blown up, was still kind of like a minefield. I was terrified to walk here for what might happen. And I knew it couldn't stay the same. Like yourself, I'm listening to you speak to the same thing. What I was going to say is, in the depths of this grief, in this case, the catalyst being with your family, similarly with my own, but from two very different vantage points, but where grief was predominant. It's like there's so many people out there right now grieving the loss of something, someone, a situation. Grief isn't just the loss of a physical person, you know, it comes packaged in many forms. But to somebody watching who has no idea of you know, the inner work that honestly, at the time when my world blew up, I like you, I didn't know about it. I didn't understand about my thoughts or my beliefs or my feelings. I knew I just had to get on with shit. I knew I just had to keep moving forward, and to what detriment. And the reason I'm talking to this now is, excuse me, is that perhaps there's somebody out there who is in the depths of their own grief right now and can't pinpoint why life has gotten so heavy or hard to breathe out here, not understanding that the reason that it's so, how do I even explain this, intense out here is because of the suppressed everything inside that grief gifts us in order to find ourselves, but we don't know that at the time. Is there anything that you could say to somebody who, you know, is experiencing something like that, who isn't aware of how much impact, you know, suppressing things, not feeling their way through it? I know, listening to you, that it was a process over the years. Is there anything you could say to somebody who is experiencing grief right now, but doesn't actually even realize that that's what it is?
And
You're frozen a bit on me. I've lost you.
Oh,
The energy's sky high. No, I got you. I got you back. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just stabilize this here.
You know, that it's not just the business of your everything. It's your world. So what has happened in 2020, everybody lost everything.
You're just after freezing. Sorry for interrupting you. I hope you can hear me. I know this yeah, because your signal was crystal clear a couple of minutes ago, and I know when we talk about high vibe stuff or intense stuff, this kind of stuff happens. So we'll calm it all down and stabilize it, and then we know what happens then. Yeah, stabilize the field. Anyone who's watching, stabilize the field with us. We need this, because I think the world needs to hear what you've got to say right now. I got you back. Perfect. What were you going to say that time?
The energy is so strong, really. Yeah, for, you know, what we were saying was, you know, grief, it takes different forms. As we said, it's not just the loss of somebody. It can be a relationship. It's something that everybody has experienced last year. You know, it could be your job, it could be whatever. You know, it hits you in different ways, and you don't even know that it's grief. Like, I didn't even realize that I was grieving then again for the loss of my life as it was previous to my children dying. Then after my near-death experience, I was grieving who I was, because I didn't know who I was. what I was here for. So everything that I thought I knew, that's still a grief. You know, that's still a loss, because you're trying to relearn everything. And last year really hit everybody in with that wave of, it's like a wave of grief, because you're faced with it, you know. And the thing is, you have nowhere to run to. I ran away from my grief for years. I just kept going and doing. People say I get up and get on with it. I did do that. And it was to the detriment of my own health.
Yeah.
So my message would be, if you're feeling it, fucking feel it. Excuse my language, but feel it.
Yeah.
You know, allow yourself to cry. Allow the day of, you know, keeping that all swept under the carpet. You don't talk, you don't say anything. You know, you just get up and get on with things. That only lasts for so long. That really does only last before. And people take their grief to the grave with them. You know, they haven't. I've seen people, you know, that have come to me afterwards, my own experiences, that maybe in their 70s or 80s, and they've carried secrets and carried so much pain within them for all that time. And like, why would you do that to yourself?
I know.
You know, that you're not doing it for anybody else. You need to process it for you. And sometimes it's not as scary as you think it's going to be, because the mind will play tricks on you. I'll tell you, no, don't go there, don't face it, because what if this happens? And you know, so therefore you carry the pain with you, and that manifests in physical pain. That has to go somewhere. It doesn't just, oh, it's gone. No, it's not gone. It's there. It's in your body. It manifests as sickness, disease, whether it be mentally or physically. It is going to, it will take a hold, you know. And that's what I experienced, and that's what I know, that I had got so sick. I had so many illnesses, and it was all grief. And as soon as I done that whole, faced myself and allowed it to come up, I haven't had any painkillers. I've come off all medication. You know, I'm like a new person, you know, physically and emotionally and spiritually. But it's because I faced it. I just stopped running and I allowed it to come in, you know. And it's hard to explain, how do you do that? You sit with it. If you're in pain, you feel it, you acknowledge it. And sometimes it moves pretty fast, I find. You know, if there's something now, the more you do it, the quicker it will move through you, you know, because you're acknowledging it. I talk to my body every day. Okay, what part of me, if anything, is in pain today, or what needs my attention? And then I draw my attention to that. You know,
that's what I was going to say. What do you think needs to change out there for people to realize the detriment of keeping everything in? What do you think needs to be different in society and in our external worlds for people to really, you know, I don't even know what the word is. I'm like, because something needs to give. What do you think needs to happen out there for people to see this?
There's a few things, really. You know, when I used to go to doctors and that, and they'd be, when they could see the difference in me physically afterwards, you know, they're like, what did you do? And I'm like, I'll tell you what I did. I said, I worked on me. I said, I came off all that medication that was interacting with one another, that was making me sicker. I said, I'm not telling people to do that. Like, by the way, I'm just saying, you know, I started to notice and what wasn't good for me, and, you know, paid attention and started asking my body, actually, what do I need to do? It could be drink more water. It could be get out for a walk. It could be get out in the fresh air. I started to ask, and I start to get answers, you know. But not only with doctors, you know, they were amazed at how this worked. And I said, but you're dealing with patients all the time. And, you know, to be able to incorporate, you know, the science, you know, the way the health system is at the minute, you know, it's a merge of it all. And yes, there's so much being done around our well-being, but not enough, in my opinion, if people are still choosing to check out because they're in so much pain, but they don't understand their pain, you know. And even with counseling, you go there and you talk, And yeah, you might be talking, and that's what gives an outlet. But to be able to understand why they're feeling like that,
Yeah.
you know, to be able to understand the effects that the mind has on the body, that's not talked about. That
No.
was not part of the program that I have been through, but I feel it's changing. You know, now it's all I see is because I'm in that I suppose community of where we understand it, but there's so many people don't.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel is my part of the reason why I'm here, is to change that so that people understand actually how they can make changes.
Yeah.
And especially with our young people as well, they're so misunderstood, and they're amazing. Like the young people are amazing. But if
Yeah.
you're listening to people putting you down all the time, or thinking, tarring everybody with the same brush, and you know, people really do, you know, for all the good things you do, if you make one mistake, that's the thing they'll pick you up on
Yeah.
sometimes. And I don't think that's really fair. I think we must have an understanding that we're all the same. We have all got different sides of us. Sometimes we're lovely.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can be, you know, that's who we are, and being able to accept one another for who we are,
Yeah.
without harming one another. You know, it's constantly, what I've seen lately is just people tearing one another to shreds. Is that really helping anything? You know,
Mm.
I don't feel it is. Um, but that's why I try to focus on what I want to share, and that's from a place of love.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody will get it, and that's okay. But if one person does,
Yeah.
that's you're
You're
making a
gold.
difference,
Yeah. I
really.
think then to add to what you've just said the importance, and you highlighted in being the example, the importance of doing your own inner work so that you don't project onto, and you know, I love the analogy, so you don't bleed over everybody who didn't cut you. That if you can take personal responsibility for all of you, it means then that we have a better way of communicating with each other, and not, you know, just not being an asshole to each other when like the world is intense enough right now. If we all have a sense of personal responsibility for looking after ourselves, I think it, you know, it might lessen again. Especially, you know, I don't know about you, but I do immense inner work on myself now. I know you do, and there's many people out there watching this who do as well. And because of the work we're choosing to do now, it means that there's a generation coming up behind us who aren't going to uh, repeat what we haven't tried to at least repair. And I love what I love the idea of what you're speaking to, when even the idea of you going into these schools and you know, talking to these guys about who they are, and you know, a different way of viewing life, being the precious thing that it is, working with people on a one-to-one basis when they're coming to you with you know, whatever has come up for them. I think that if more people out there, this is just my own personal opinion, that I just think if more and more people understood the gold that is within, that's found within, when faced like yourself, being in the face of adversity and making the choice to go in, that the generation that's coming behind us, it might be a bit easier for them to be understood, because it's like a glitch in the matrix. We're in the middle of they're even in the middle of two worlds. We're in the middle of it as well, very much, because we're questioning everything around us right now. We're not just taking something because it's been said to us, or because we're being told. You know, this whole situation outside of us is really causing everybody to question everything about their lives. And like you said, you can't run in a lockdown, can you? You know, you can't run in this space. In the last year, you cannot run from your shit. You can try and hide, but the last year has shown me personally, it will find you. It will rugby tackle you to the ground or gracefully touch you and say, hey, you want to talk? Because we're going to talk, and I can wait as long as it takes. That if we can learn to communicate better with ourselves and be the change, each individual person, be the goddamn change that you want to see in this world, then it follows suit that these guys who are coming up behind us, like they're watching everything, and they are living like we did. We learned what we lived. Our parents learned what they lived. Their parents learned what they lived. And this is the generational shit that's gone on year after year after year until something takes us to the ground and says, it's time to smash this fucking wheel once and for all. What are you going to do with it? And I love the idea, you know, now moving forward, that you have been through what you have, but the vantage point that you have come out with just blows my mind, because it's the truth. It's the truth. And you're talking to that no matter what you've been through, you have a choice of what to do with it. And I just honor every breath you take, because you are an exceptional woman. Like, you really are. And thank you for what you do, showing up on a daily basis with everybody around you, because it matters. It really does, hugely.
Yeah, you know, you don't see that in yourself. You know, you really don't see. But I think it really helps to be grounded and humble, and to know, but also with that passion, you know, that you can make changes. I know everybody's on their own journey and they have their own lives to lead, but we need to be the example. You know, we will need to be the teachers of how you can make the changes, you know, and it's not just through reading it from a textbook, it's the experience.
Yeah.
You know, you can't experience what anybody's going through unless you've been through that experience yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel it's so important that it is, you know, sometimes I used to think, oh, responsibility of it, but in a way, there is, you know, if you want to see the change and if you want to be that change. I have seen it with my own children, how amazing they are. And, you know, they call me out on bullshit if I'm going off on one. Now
I
they'll
know,
see it.
yeah.
You know,
I get it here
mommy,
too.
go and breathe,
Yeah.
go and get your meditation.
Yeah.
You know, so they'll know if I'm having a wobbler. And it's amazing
brilliant.
that they are picking up on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I notice. And that is, to me, is fantastic, because they've seen that no matter what you go through, that you can get up and you can be the difference, and you choose whether you want to be that way or not. And there was times I thought I had no choice, you know, but you always have a choice, you know. There's times I struggle with that, but there's always a lesson in everything, really.
The joys of the human experience.
Yeah, and we are here as humans to experience. So, you know, and it is having a balance of everything. It's not all, if it's all seriousness, then you're lacking that fun, you know, being able to be creative and express yourself, whether it be through writing or art or music or dance, or it doesn't matter what it is, but giving yourself permission to do all of that. And you can be all that. You know, there was times I struggled with, oh my God, well, I've everything kind of mastered now, or so I do think. And then you get a reminder that maybe you don't, you know, but what is it that you want to create now? And it's like, especially in the past couple of weeks, it's like, right, what do I want now? You know, because we don't actually ask ourselves what is it that we'd like more of.
Yeah.
And even this thing around how you should be if you're in the spiritual world, I had this idea that everything would be all love and light and airy and fairy, and, you know, not always like that. And it's
not at all.
But you can't be you, and it's integrating all parts of you. You know, you don't have to get rid of certain parts of you just because you're on a spiritual path. No, you don't. You can choose whatever you want. And that was the message I got loud and clear last week. I
Beautiful.
was like, okay, well, what would I like it? Well, I'd like to experience a little bit more wealth, and
Yeah.
it was like, but you can't because you're spiritual. And I'm going, can you not? He's like, who said? You can experience whatever you want in this life. If you can
And
dream
so
it, you can achieve
I was
it.
going to say, what are you where is that creative streak taking you to now? What's the plan moving forward?
Yeah, I've been writing for a book.
Brilliant.
That was coming in messages all during lockdown. So I was getting certain messages and I started to pen them. But now I'm going to tell my story with tools and techniques and
Brilliant.
what I found and what lessons I've learned through certain experiences of when I judge other people. Maybe sometimes, okay, well, then I've got a lesson about it,
Yeah.
so I'm sharing all of that.
Beautiful.
And also I've been creating new workshops for the youth that I'm hope to teach to young people.
Super.
And get it out there. So
Epic.
whether it be in the schools or whether we create for parents and kids, because I feel there's not much point in us just teaching the young people. I feel everybody needs it. And if
The
it's a
education of
family,
it
I
all.
think we should all be on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. And what better
So,
person to teach it than somebody who's lived it? And can I ask, just to finish up, is there, if people are looking to get in touch with you, contact you, where's the best place to find you?
well, at the minute, it's probably on Facebook or Instagram.
Cool.
But I know that shifting as well, but that's where I am at the moment. I'm just saying I'm in the dark.
So what we'll do is we'll pop up a
Here at
link
the minute.
to your Facebook page and your Instagram in the comments after this. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and sharing your heart, because I know it's not easy to brave your heart like that. And, I'm sure anybody watching could feel just how passionate you are about the work you do. And not only that, the love that emanates from you. And I'm so grateful for your vulnerability in sharing, your experience and stuff. I really, really believe that this conversation and the words that you've spoken to will really help many, many people today, and anybody watching on a replay. So thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Thank
See you
for
soon.
asking me. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye. Thanks to anybody watching
Bye-bye.
as well. We
Bye-bye.
really appreciate it. Bye bye.